So today we'll be talking about cognition. And cognition is critical simply because humans aren't so successful, simply because they're big and strong and so forth. In fact, they're not big and strong at all. Humans owe their success more to thinking abilities than to just about anything else, which is why we're called Homo sapiens, which is Latin for man and wise. So this section will cover what it means to think and how we go about solving problems. A big part of our cognition involves images. The word cognition itself derives from the Latin cogito, which means to think. And when we think, we tend to manipulate information internally, often in terms of images. That enables us to construct models of the world, plan interactions with the world, and regulate ourselves to meet various goals. So these images basically are representations of sensory experiences stored in memory, and these, of course, can be retrieved for future use. Interestingly, people treat mental images a lot like they would regular objects that we see in the world. So we can turn mental images around in our minds, we can zoom in or out, we can identify their features, all of those kinds of things as if we were looking at the real thing. And some great work done by Steve Coslin and his colleagues had participants imagine two different sized animals. So they would be asked to identify something like an elephant and a rabbit and think about these things side by side. And then he found out that they were faster at describing the visual details of the larger animals than they were of the small ones, which is pretty interesting. It really suggested that participants needed to zoom in to the smaller animals before they were able to sort of see or imagine in their minds the details. And of course that zooming process took time. So it shows that people were treating these images much as they would treat this rabbit and this elephant, right as if they were right there in front of them. Children in particular use all kinds of visual images, although it seems to wane a little bit as we get older. Adults tend to rely more on verbal representations. One possibility is that languages become increasingly important in our organizing and thinking during childhood, and that might begin to overwrite or interfere with our ability to directly access visual images. One way in which we think involves the use of schemas. Schemas can be thought of as a representation of a concept stored in memory. So, for example, you might have a schema of a dog. That schema represents a set of beliefs and expectations about dogs and perhaps even animals in general, but might include things like likes to play ball, etc. All of those possible things you can think of about a dog. So a dog would be fuzzy, has 4 legs, perhaps drools, all of those kinds of things, and it's all represented in one concept. That one concept, our mental representation of that thing, is called a schema. Similarly, we tend to have representations of events as well. An event would be something like going to the restaurant. We actually call those schemas scripts. So those are sort of schemas that unfold over time. It describes how a series of actions should unfold over time.